Hi everyone, I want to bring you guys another video today for Necromancer. This time around we got the Shadowmancer damage over time Blight build. It's been really fun to play. It's been really cool. It's doing actually pretty well even in tier 50. But I want to preface this by saying that this is not this is not Bone Spear. It definitely needs a little bit more ramp up in damage before doing significant damage. It won't burst as hard. It won't do as high amount of damage, but it's actually doing pretty good. I feel pretty tanky, and there's a lot of crowd control, a lot of stun, some freeze. Just everything is just getting vacuumed and just burn over time in this shadow goo. You don't see shit, by the way, but it is what it is. It's pretty fun, so I wanted to showcase it. But I also wanted to be honest about it. As soon as you go over the plus 50, I tried like a 56. And some monsters are hard to face tank. And because of that, you need to kite, which lowers the value of the damage of this build significantly. In a group, though, it's also very fun. I just completed a 72, actually, with one of my friends. Because they're able to face tank a little better, I was able to provide all the crowd control and the damage because everything was just standing still and burning down. But solo tier 50, I've been having a blast. It's been actually pretty fun. A little bit more survivable even, I would say, than especially because we're using a scythe, which is feeding into our temerity, which we're going to go over in a second. But there's a lot of things that makes it a little bit more tanky than my previous builds. But it's just really strong. It's just really strong. It's really good. It's just not over Bone Spear, right? It's not over the top. So I just want to go over and show you what it's like. We're going to cover the ability first so you can see what's going on. And then we're going to be covering the Book of Dead, the Paragon, the gear. And then I'm going to be running this key here. So let's get started, shall we? First, tier doesn't really matter. You're not going to be using it. I just put point and decompose. Why not? It's purple. It matches. Who cares? You're not going to be using any of these ability. We're going to be moving on to Blight. This with Corpse Explosion is going to be your main source of damage over time, which is going to trigger Shadow Blight. By itself, these ability don't necessarily do a lot of damage. It is the Shadow Blight taking damage that's going to increase your damage and do pretty significant damage over time. We're going to go with the slow and then the increase here for us to do 15% more damage. We're going to go with Ewed Flesh. It's going to give us the corpse that we need to Corpse Explode. And then we're going to go with Corpse Explosion, 5 point in it. Blighted Corpse. This is going to be a pretty good amount of damage, especially since we're using the Howl from Below, which is going to be really cool. It's going to summon runners that are going to go explode on the enemy. And that's going to be pretty nice. We're going to put 1 point into Blood Mist because it's really hard to make a build right now for Necromancer at anything over 40 without Blood Mist. Otherwise, you get CC'd once and it's just over. You need to be able to clear those CC. Grim Harvest and Fueled by Death, you're going to put 3 points in each. I'm going to be putting 1 point in Iron Maiden, 1 point in Decrepify, and then we're going to go ahead and improve these. I went ahead and this is allowing you to get a generator here. It's pretty neat. Every time you Iron Maiden something that hasn't been cursed before, you get extra regen. And then I went with the heal. It's pretty nice. I think this is fueling the temerity as well every time you kill something, which is making the build a little bit more tanky. Iron Maiden doesn't seem to be doing that much damage, especially if you're not going for it. So like this node seemed useless a little bit. So I went with this one here. That sounds pretty cool for survivability. The Amplify damage, so we get extra damage. And then we're going to improve Decrepify here for a chance to stun. And also cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction isn't crazy in this build. The only thing you're reducing is Corpse Tendril and Blood Mist. But those two things are pretty nice to cooldown reduce. We're not using a whole ultimate spell, so that's going to be pretty good. For those ability. I have 1 point in Corpse Tendril, and I'm going for the vulnerability here because it's going to help me dish out this additional damage with a cooldown reduction. It allows me to keep a pretty high uptime, but not 100%. I put 3 points in each of these, so just, more movement speed here, more shadow damage here, and a little bit more darkness damage here. Feel free to move these points if you are doing higher keys. There we go. And you want to stun things for a little bit longer and you don't quite need to just be zooming through everything. This is an easy change that you can do. This one is just to increase the stagger amount. So the stun duration. It's nice for the monster. It feeds into terror as well. So these points are interchangeable depending on what content you're doing. So we're going to do a run with this one, trying to get higher stun value here. That should be nice. And then we're going to go into standalone here. 3 points. 3 points into Memento. And we're going to go into Shadow Blight, obviously. That's going to be the main part of this. For the Book of the Dead, we're going to sacrifice for shadow damage here a Reaper. We're going to sacrifice the Blood Golem for... sorry, not the Blood Golem, but the Skeletal Frost Mage here for increased vulnerable damage. The other two are pretty useless. I don't really need extra essence, and we don't overpower. Golem, extra life. We don't critical strike because damage over time do not critical strike, so we don't need this. The attack speed could be neat. I still have to play with it. That would be a little bit more damage, but I kind of like having the extra life right now. It's been pretty neat. I got 14k with my gear. We got some really good gear right now, which is one of the reasons this build is able to work, right? So we're going to go over this. I got some really good piece of gear. We got a +4 rank Decrepify helmet here with a lot of life. Willpower also scales your damage because of one of your Paragon boards, so I don't know yet how much worth it is to invest that much into it, but this was pretty good off the bat, so I decided to keep it as is. We're going to go with the consumption. Consumption of Corpse gives you Blood Orb. This is going to allow you to get really high Fortify using the Blood Drinker rune. So right now, this is one of the only way to guarantee Fortify as a Necromancer because the Necrotic Carapace doesn't really work with most ability. It only works with Decompose and Reap and Corpse generation from Minion. It doesn't work from any corpse spawned by Hewed Flesh. So because of that, it's really tough to maintain Fortify. Because of that, we have to go for Blood Orb, which is one of the biggest weakness of Necromancer right now. We have to, like, it feels like we're kind of fighting off some passive that are supposed to be working differently, but... So we're going to go with this. The Blood Orb is just going to be nice for the Fortify. The armor, we're going to need it here, so... the armor from Disobedience, really needed. I went with shadow damage here, maximum life, total armor, some intellect. So that's really cool. Howl from Below is going to be neat. It's going to allow you to be able to pretty much consume any corpse on the screen, and they're going to run at the enemy. So that you're just not producing pulls of miasma everywhere on the battlefield, damaging absolutely nobody, right? So this is going to be really good for that. It's going to allow you also to explode them faster because of the attack speed increase. Temerity, I've been loving these. They give me that nice barrier. The proc also with the lucky hit, which is increased because I got extra lucky hit on the glove, so that's really good. So that's going to be really nice. A lot of survivability here. We got the boots right now. The really good boots, actually. So the evade with massive movement speed after killing elite, baseline movement speed, fortify regen, and +4 rank on corpse tendril. So really good. And we got the blight area defile will also pull enemy. So that's pretty neat. So we're going to be able to spend this, and everything is just going to get sucked into the pool. Which is one of the problems of this build, is when you encounter enemy that can no longer be CC'd, and you have a hard time face tanking them, you have to run a little bit, and then if they run out of your pull, your ramping damage just slows down, right? So you can do easily content that allows you to stand still and face tank most of the monster. We're going to go with the Bloodless Scream here as a weapon. More darkness skill damage. So that's going to be neat. That's going to increase our blight damage. Damage to chill enemy is nice and frozen. And then your darkness skill has a chance to chill, which will lead to frozen. And then you got the resource regen at the bottom for hitting frozen targets. So that's going to be neat as well, with 2 amethysts in there for damage over time increase. For our necklace here, we got the 60% increased damage when applying both curse, which is why we're running Decrepify and Iron Maiden. That's going to be a multiplicative shadow damage increase. So this part is kind of insane. It locks down the build a lot. I wish I could maybe fit Minion or something else in here. But this is just going to be too strong. This is really strong here. It's just a massive amount of shadow damage. I have +3 Gloom, +3 All Curse, which is absolutely insane for this build. I got like one of the perfect neck. Essence cost reduction too, and damage reduction while fortifying. So pretty neat. We got the Shadow Blight passive. So we're using the 2 Shadow Blight passive here. So one of them is going to make it so that it's going to ramp up over time and make it tick for higher. And this one, after X amount of tick, is going to give you damage increase for 6 seconds. So these 2s are going to be necessary here. And then a bunch of damage over time. Lucky hit is nice to generate more corpse, more heal from Temerity. Anything that gives you damage to close enemy, damage to shadow, all of this is going to be great. So that's my gear. I'm socketing, obviously, Skull and Ruby here, and here for shadow damage. All right, let's move on to the last thing, the Paragon board. We're going to go over it quickly, and then we're going to be clearing the key before my character falls asleep here. There we go. So for the first Paragon board, we're going to go with Blood Drinker here, because that's the only way we can get reliable Fortify, so we kind of have to. We're going to go through this tree, get a lot of the good nodes and passive here. This first tree is the Wither. So this is going to increase your shadow damage, and this part of it is going to scale with willpower. So every 50 willpower you have, it's going to increase the odd of the shadow damage over time to deal bonus damage. And that's going to be really good. So that's a really, really good perk. That's going to be our first perk. We have a lot of shadow damage perk all over the board. And then our first glyph here is going to be Darkness. So Darkness is going to be really good, giving us some damage reduction and a little bit of shadow damage increase as well, which is going to be great. On this side here, this is going to be the board Bone Graft here. This is going to be the last board you're going to go for. It's mostly to go socket a free glyph here for Amplify and get a couple nodes here that are going to give you some resistance and some additional stats here. The board isn't necessarily tuned for Shadow. There's nothing here that you're too interested about. A lot of it is crit damage, which doesn't apply to you. So it's literally just to go get Amplify socket here. The top one is going to be very important. We're going to go with Flesh Eater. That 40% increased damage is massive. And then the glyph is going to be the Scourge glyph here for the shadow damage over time increase. And also the increased damage to enemy that are... So this is like massive damage scaler here. So this is going to be really good. I'm still missing a lot of points here. So for example, this scales off willpower. I might be missing a couple... Actually, no, this one I think I got most of them. But I'm missing a couple nodes in a couple of them, because I didn't do my full renown. So I'm not fully capped, but, you know, this is still pretty endgame state for a 50, I would say. Scent of Death for the right board here, and then the glyph is going to be Control. So every time you see something, Chill, Slow, Frozen, Stun, which you're applying all of these in at all time, it's just going to give you a lot more damage. This one isn't scaled fully. There's still a lot of intelligence node I could grab here. So this could scale. I could get like another like 30 to 40% damage here on this one from all the intelligence node I'm missing right now. So still a lot of damage to be get here. We got some damage to Injured. It's always cool. And Scent of Death is nice. It gives you damage and damage reduction. So that's pretty much it for the Paragon board. As always, all of this is going to be at the bottom in the description down below. There's going to be the link for the full build with the gear and everything, and you're going to be able to look it up and try it out for yourself. So again, we're going to go through a little dungeon right here. I could die. It could happen. We'll try to make it not happen if possible, and we'll try to showcase what the build can do here. Some of these monsters can be pretty tough. They can one-shot you pretty easily, so you got to be careful these kind of dungeons sometimes. So there we go. As soon as you get like your monster rallied up like that, you can start spamming and melting everything down. Make sure everything is cursed. Make sure you use those corpses, and everything should melt. As soon as everything is getting into the main pull, the main chain CC. But those little rats can be quite deadly. I got to be careful with these. There we go. Make sure everything is cursed up. Whoop. Pull together. We're going to cross over here. As you can see, I can't see shit, but the enemies are slowly dying here. They're slowly melting up. And it's actually pretty nice. So once you start pressing the corpse explosion, you get a good amount of blood orbs that are going to keep you alive. And everything is just going to melt, pretty much. But not as fast as Bone Spear. We're not getting like 3 million, 4 million crit. We're just doing the best we can, pretty much. That's all we can get. That's all we can get. The best thing is to start the chain. Once you start CCing them in chain like this, there you go. This is when things starts happening. Before the first corpse tendril, though, it's a little bit slow. It's all about generating that first corpse. Gonna get out of here. Kind of dangerous. Make sure they're cursed. Get out of there as well. A lot of bad affixes, but should be able to handle it if I can stop being CC'd for a second. And slowed as well. There we go. Drag to some corpse. And now we should be good to go. It's going to depend, again, like I said, like if you can face tank most of the monsters, you'll be good to go. Like it's still able to clear stuff at a decent pace. But I have good gear. So this is just a different playstyle if you're tired of playing Bone Spear and you want to try something else. You're just tired of playing Bone Spear and you really want to try something else, you'll be good to go. You'll be able to try something new. Try to drag some of these leftover into other packs. If you don't have corpse, it might be a little bit difficult to kill stuff. We have 2 more enemies, which are... Oh, we have a little bit of a leftover here. There we go. This build is paying off a lot on density again, so... The more enemy you have, the bigger pack, the more corpse. And just in general, you'll kill stuff faster. So as you can see, the damage is ramping up really, really quickly here. Once we get like big elites, your dots can actually like start ticking for 300 to 400k, which is pretty neat. The only issue is anytime that you can't stay in position, you are gonna run into some issues. So, but as soon as you can put down a little bit and you can have those corpse, right now I'm struggling to fish for a corpse for corpse tendril, which is usually my issue on PC. On controller, it doesn't happen too much because it auto snaps, but on PC, finding that corpse tendril sometimes is, especially in all the miasma, it's just, it doesn't snap well. So controller could be really, really good for this build, actually. Just to make it snap a little bit faster and get it, like, pulled together a little bit better. So we're not doing, like, as well as Bone, but it is a viable build right now, which is one of the fun part about it. So we're going to pull them together right now. There we go. And then we're going to start... There we go. As soon as, like, the pull are happening, all right? If I get enough corpse, things are dying. Definitely. Definitely things are dying. I'm trying to avoid the trap. Don't get hit by trees. And bear. Pretty much don't get hit by anything in this map, I'll be honest. This whole map is a... There we go. Again, just the stun. Really difficult to get. But once the stun happens, it's just, you know, you got it. Once the tendril goes out, we're good. Let's try to find our objective here. And none of here, none of here. Try to not get murdered by bears. But that is bear specialty. Anything that will slow you with Necromancer is really, really tough. Okay, big bears. And suppressor here, so that's going to be tough. We're going to get some corpse here. There we go. That should be good enough. Should start melting here and get permanently stunned. You're going to be staggering boss at a rapid rate. It is very impressive. I'm going to try to get on the... Oh, there's a wall that I couldn't get through. There we go. I'm going to get under here, and we're going to start spamming this. Stunning everything. So once everything is rolling... You know, like, the damage is here, the tankiness is there. It's just sometimes it doesn't want to start, you know, so that's the build. That's the build. But it's fun, it's different, honestly. Just playing Bone Spear all the time can get a little bit tedious if you've been playing it since launch. And a lot of people wanted some Shadow build, so having the possibility, you know, to do a little bit of variety in your build every once in a while, even though you're not getting the same performance, it can be worth it, just to change. It should change the pace of the game, you know. There's probably some stuff that could be done to improve. This is still a little bit in. There's room for improvement for sure. When we get higher tier items, maybe there's other legendary we could replace. Okay, this is gonna be a dangerous pull here. We're just gonna try to generate a corpse real quick. If we can get one, there we go. Everything is gonna get stunned, and we'll be safe here for a little bit. We're just going to make sure everything dies. And we're good to go. Okay. That's the dangerous part, is always... While everything is stunned, you're good to go. Outside of it, though. There we go. All right. Let's go to the boss. Let's see how fast we can melt a... I think there's a boss in this map. There we go. Let's see how good or bad we do in a 50. Let's curse. Let's curse. Let's blight. Let's blight. And then we're just going to try to get that first corpse. And then we're going to spam. And the stagger bar. Look at the stagger bar. Look at it. They're just getting massively staggered. They're going to get stunned here. And they're going to just sit in there in a second. There we go. Et voila. And now they're just melting. The dots are slowly ramping up. Because they can't move out of it. Just going to make sure we move out of the mechanic. Get all the corpse. And the boss is dead. Obviously, we didn't kill this boss as fast as I would have with Bone Spear, Bone Spirit, and all that stuff. That would have been probably a 2-3 global. But it still works. I mean, the damage over time is there. There's something that would need to be a little bit more tested. I've been testing around with some different legendary, and this is the best that I could get it right now. It's definitely not 100% uptime on vulnerable, which a lot of things could be improved for Necromancer in general to give a little bit more viability to these kind of builds. But right now, this is a working build at 50 plus. Obviously, I'm level 100. I don't have all my Paragon, and I have pretty good gear. So this is kind of pushing it a little bit to the extreme of what it can do. But if you're doing 10, 20, 30 keys right now, and you have lower level, lower gear, as long as you got some of the proper piece, I think Bloodless is probably required, and the glove, pretty much. Temerity isn't required, I would say. You can get some really, really good pants with damage reduction. As long as you have, like, the weapon, which is going to be nice for CC and darkness damage, and the glove is going to make your life a lot easier, having these gentlemen spawn and just, like, run over for their target. This is, like, a good source of your damage, and it also, like, it's just a good quality of life. Not having to target, being able to use every corpse on the screen pretty much to do your damage is just going to be really, really good. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. We're going to be trying a bunch of new builds pretty soon. I'm going to try to make a minion build viable for 50 plus. That would be really fun. But that's going to be it today for this build. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below if you liked it. If you want more guides, just let me know. Bye-bye.